Chapter 3. 3.1. Arjun's faulty question. His faulty view. Fruitive action, fruitive ceremonies. Arjun speaks. Verse number 1. Arjun said, "Why should he, Arjun, fight the ghastly battle, O Janardhan, if you think that self-controlled work under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, is better than fruitive action, O Keshav?" Comments. Reference be made to Shlok numbers 39 and 47 of chapter 2, more particularly Shlok numbers 49 and 61 of chapter 2, where Shri Krishna says that fruitive action, action with the longing of obtaining a particular result fruit, is inferior to action taken under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. The question raised above by Arjun is despite the answer given by Shri Krishna in the above shloks, more particularly Shlok number 49 of chapter 2. Arjun had failed to correctly understand Shri Krishna's concept of doing anything an action taken correctly, Karma Yoga, and applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. Possibly, Arjun desires to know the detailed reasoning for the views expressed by Shri Krishna in Shlok number 49 of chapter 2. Shri Krishna subsequent to Shlok number 49 of chapter 2 has further on dealt with the aspect of a person meditating upon him, I follow his teachings, etc. Shlok number 61 of chapter 2. Thereafter, Shri Krishna has dealt with the aspects of correct action, Karma Yoga, applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, a stoic, and ultimately, such a person reaching the stage of Nirvan Moksha. Arjun's bewilderment is caused by his taking the applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, as purely as an intellectual exercise divorced from action. This is Arjun's total misunderstanding of what Shri Krishna has said regarding action by a stoic and the conditions precedent to the stage of Nirvan Moksha. It is also clear, particularly from Shlok number 49 of chapter 2, that even performance of ceremonies etc. performed with the view to obtaining any particular fruit result are much inferior to actions under applied intellect, including rationality and correct knowledge, Buddhi Yoga and Jnana Yoga, by a stoic. Also see Shlok numbers 43, 49, 52 and 53 of chapter 2, Shlok number 2 and 3 of chapter 3. The above question arose due to misunderstanding by Arjun of what had been taught so far. 3.2. Arjun speaks. Verse number 2. Do tell me, Arjun, clearly, the only one path I should certainly choose for my betterment, as my intellect is bewildered. Comments. This question has already been answered by Shri Krishna in positive term in favor of action under applied intellect, including rationality, Buddhi Yoga, Jnana Yoga, without fixation on a particular result fruit. Please see Shlok numbers 13, 15, 44 to 46, 49, 68 to 70 and 72 of chapter 2 of the sermon. 3.3. Ancient most knowledge. Applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. Rationality, Sankhya. Proxy. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 3. Shri Krishna speaks as the Brahm, I, Brahm, have already referred to the two views on this earth, O sinless one. One is action done under rationality, Sankhya, and applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, by a knowledgeable and self-controlled person. The other principle or view is that some person, in Vedas, perform ceremonies etc. with object of material gains. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. The above translation is in view of numbers 1 and 2 of ch. 3. In Shlok numbers 1 and 2 of chapter 3, Arjun has asked a specific question which has already been answered clearly. Please see Shlok number 2 of chapter 2, etc. Shri Krishna sets out two views prevalent then. One view principle is action under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, combined with rationality, Sankhya, etc. as refined and evolved in second part of Shlok number 39 of chapter 2 and onward. It is implicit part of action with correct knowledge, Gyan Yoga, and by a person indicated as the Stoic in Shlok numbers 20 to 27 and 68 to 72 of chapter 2. This may shortly be described as action under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, as is indicated by chapter 2 of the sermon and including Shlok number 39 thereof. Fruitive action does not fall under eternal conjointness combination, Avyayam Yogam. Fruitive action is of a lower quality than non-fruitive action under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, along with rationality, Sankhya, etc. The fruitive action will not take one to the Brahm. Only the non-fruitive action may take one to the Brahm. The other view is performance of ceremonies etc. for fruitive materialistic gain. Please inter alia see Shlok numbers 42 to 44 and 52, 53 of chapter 2. This is indicated in certain parts of Vedas. Shri Krishna has used the expression collection of correct knowledge, Gyan Yoga, for the first time as necessary companion of rationality, Sankhya. Rationality is necessary companion of applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. In the above Shlok, rationality, Sankhya, has been interchangeably used for applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. Shri Krishna has dealt with different aspects of Arjun failing to discharge his professional duties. From the very beginning of the sermon, Shri Krishna has been exhorting Arjun to act and to take up arm and to discharge his duties. So far, there is no mention or even whisper of a mere intellectual exercise not related to taking action to fight. In fact, Shri Krishna has clearly stated that the action of fighting the battle will lead to heaven higher planets. Entire spectrum of the sermon relates to action and its modalities and use of intellect for better performance and for still better performance which may lead to the Brahm automatically. Of course, in this process mention has been made of an ordinary person, a worldly being, discharging his duties as a Stoic and who may reach the Brahm also. However, in the next Shlok number 4 of chapter -3, Shri Krishna goes back to the initial reactions of Arjun not to fight as mentioned in Shlok numbers 35 to 46 of chapter 1. Arjun had proceeded to say that he would prefer to become a beggar or to be killed unarmed and without resistance etc. Guru Gobind Singh, true follower of Shri Krishna, life not a battle but battles may have to be joined. However, as already stated under Shlok numbers 42 to 44 and 53 of chapter 2, another view relating to material wealth and life has been stated. Please see commentary under Shlok number 39 of chapter 2 for further details. It may be clarified that fruitive action is not totally discountenanced in Bhagwat Gita. When a professional carries out his duties correctly, his motives will only be of secondary importance. In Shlok numbers 2, 32 and 37 of chapter 2, for example, a professional soldier discharging his duties correctly or dying in battle will attain heavens or higher planets. This is irrespective of his motives for fighting the battle. In general, no action, inaction, fruitive ceremonies etc. cannot be better than fruitive action if such action is required in particular circumstances. Fruitive ceremonies described in parts of Vedas are different in procedure than fruitive action in everyday life or affairs including situation like a battle. In general affairs, A person may take action with a view to obtaining a predetermined result fruit. However, in Vedas, only certain persons perform the ceremonies and chant verses etc. to give benefit to his host, Yajman. Physical steps, if at all, are also to be done by somebody else, proxy. Action is mostly personal. Performance of ceremonies etc. are mostly by proxy. Further, for example only, invaders and the like in the present case the Kauravas had to be defeated by action in the battle. Guru Gobind Singh, as follower of Sri Krishna's teachings etc. created the Khalsa to fight against injustice and tyranny. He gave up a sedentary life. He took up arms. He became a man of action. Later, Subhash Chandra Bose, following the teachings etc. of Sri Krishna, caused the INA to fight against the British imperialism. He gave up a sedentary life. He took up arms. He became a man of action. Arjun had misunderstood what had been revealed by Sri Krishna in chapter 2 of the sermon. Neither knowledge, information nor intellect have even been indicated to be the processes as ends by themselves. The process of collection of correct information, knowledge, Jnana Yoga, and the process of analyzing the information so collected are to lead, first to a decision and secondly, to the end by an action, Karma Yoga. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, true follower of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna has laid down that collection of correct information, Jnana Yoga, followed by correct analysis with the help of intellect, Buddhi Yoga, including rationality, Sankhya, should lead to correct decision. The correct decision has to be followed by preparation and correct action, Karma Yoga. Whether an action is required or not and its quality have to depend on the facts and circumstances of a situation. Whether action is required or not is the very purpose of collection of correct information, Jnana Yoga, correct analysis by use of intellect, Buddhi Yoga, including rationality, Sankhya, ending with a decision to take action or not to take action. Thereafter, the correct action, Karma Yoga, is carried out, if so decided upon. The action could be with a particular keen intention and or keen expectation. This will be called fruitive action. Ceremonies, sacrificial fire, havan, recitation of mantras, hymns, worship, praises, charity etc. and with the object of material gains including heaven, generally dealt with by Vedas, have been discountenanced in the sermon of Bhagwat Gita. Please inter alia see comments under Numbers 49 of ch 2 No. 4 of ch 3. It is relevant to set out here Shlok number 39 of chapter 2 in full. So far what I, Brahm, have explained to you is in accordance with rationality, Sankhya, and applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga. Now here, O son of Parth, I, Brahm, will explain to you the way, by control of intention expectation in connection with doing of an action, you will not be subjected to adverse effect bondage thereof. The purpose of what has been revealed as referred in Shlok No. 39, I, of chapter 2 and what has been revealed with reference to Shlok No. 39, 2 of chapter 2 was to exhort Arjun to discharge his duties including those of a soldier warrior fighter. Please inter alia see comments under Shlok number 4 of chapter 3. 3.4 Ancient most knowledge. Rejection of renunciation. Fruitive ceremonies. Eternal relevance. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 4. Not mere inaction or not doing action cannot avoid a reaction. Nor by renunciation, sannyas, of action's duties, a person can achieve a high spiritual level. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 4 and 5 of chapter 3 may be read together. These have also to be understood in backdrop of Arjun's losing control on his body, senses and his sinking back into the seat of the chariot, casting aside his bow and arrows. Also, in the background are the views of running away from the fight and preferring to become a beggar and even to be killed without a fight in the battlefield. Please inter alia see Shlok numbers 20 to 46 of chapter 1. Shri Krishna in chapter 2 refers to the duties of a professional soldier. He refers to action with or without expectation. Shri Krishna deals with the concept of soul being immortal. Shri Krishna deals with the effect of a soldier failing to discharge his duties. Shri Krishna also deals with more evolved concept of non-fruitive discharge of one's duties under applied intellect, Buddhi Yoga, including rationality, Sankhya, and calls the action as correct action, Karma Yoga, leading ultimately and automatically to merger with the Brahm as an auto-elevation. Inaction fruitive and or harmful. In Shlok number 4 of chapter 3, he is now dealing with the negative or inactive, possible, etc. conduct shown by Arjun as alternative to not fighting. Shri Krishna lays down that one cannot remain without doing anything at all. A person cannot become a stone. A living being's body parts will act, or at least his impacted consciousness will raise after one object or another. This is of eternal relevance. Most importantly, Shri Krishna declares that by such inactivity, a person cannot reach or attain any spiritual levels. Thus, Shri Krishna has clearly rejected renunciation of one's worldly duties as being a non-spiritual path and as not leading to any higher spiritual levels. This also clearly means that such a person cannot be auto-elevated to the Brahm. Please see inter alia, Shlok numbers 51 to 58 and 68 to 72 of chapter 2. As stated earlier, more particularly in Shlok number 49 of chapter 2, Shri Krishna has also rejected the fruitive ceremonies etc. The minute analysis of human behavior is of lasting value. Also refer inter alia to Shlok numbers 12 to 19 of chapter 18. In Shlok number 17 of chapter 18, Arjun is told by Shri Krishna that killing of persons in the battle will have no adverse effect. 3.5. Ancient most knowledge. Attributes caused due to nature, senses. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 5. At any moment, no person can certainly remain without doing any action by the force strength of attributes caused due to nature as affecting every individual. One is compelled to do something or another at all times. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. In addition to what is stated under Shlok number 4 of chapter 3, it is clarified that for the first time, Shri Krishna states the importance of nature vis. The living beings. And nature's compulsive effects on the living beings. This subject matter is also dealt with in Bhagwat Gita in later shloks. Of course, there is a passing reference to the three attributes caused due to nature in Shlok number 45 of chapter 2. See inter alia, Shlok numbers 21 to 28 of chapter 1, Shlok numbers 8, 14, 58 to 68 of chapter 2, and Shlok numbers 6, 7 of chapter 3 etc. Please also inter alia refer to Shlok number 17 of chapter 3. 3.6. Ancient most knowledge. Forcible control of senses. Science follows the SERMEN. Psychology. Impacted consciousness. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 6. Forcibly controlling the senses from the enjoyment of material objects is not enough. The thoughts of a person may yet be dwelling upon the sensory enjoyment. The person who feigns to control his impacted consciousness and thoughts may be called a pretender and a deceitful person. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Much can and has been said and written on the above subject. But the modern experiments and research had to agree with the above teachings, etc. Please inter alia refer to Shlok number 59 of chapter 2. As already explained, the difference between control of a visible sensory action and the impacted consciousness being still seized of the senses enjoyment. In the above shlok, the same principle is stated. He has called the person in the IST category as a deceitful person or a feigner. Also see inter alia, shlok numbers 14, 21 to 28, 45, 50 to 64, 67, 68 of chapter 2 and shlok number 5 of chapter 3. More particularly see shlok number 59 of chapter 2. Psychologists have taken their clues from the teachings etc. in Bhagwat Gita and have given after due research their views in favor of the said teachings etc. The teachings etc. are true and relevant at all times. 3.7. Consciousness is quality only of the soul. Slow and steady control. Sensory organs. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 7. The person who permits consciously controlled play to senses and action without attachment is better than the person who forcibly restrains action, O Arjun. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Sri Krishna teaches a great scientific and psychological and lasting truth so far a human life is concerned. A control gradually practiced may result in a permanent gain. Action forcibly controlled often leads to ultimate total loss of self-control. In shlok number 50 of chapter 2, Sri Krishna has referred to the exercise of control on sensory organs by offer of a higher mode level of satisfaction enjoyment by senses. Please see inter alia, shlok numbers 8, 14, 21 to 28, 58 to 64, 67 of chapter 2 on the subject matter of sense control. Please see comments under shlok numbers 7 of chapter 15 etc. for the expression consciousness, mansa. 3.8. Prescribed duty. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 8. You should discharge your prescribed duties actions. This is certainly better than not doing any activity. Sri Krishna further explains that human body cannot complete its journey without doing any work. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Sri Krishna is stating another truth of life. It can easily be seen that no living being remains without action at least from his birth and till the so-called death of the body. It is a scientific fact that even a child in the womb is doing number of actions. The human body will include each and every part and whatever else is in the body. Here, reference may be made to shlok numbers 32 and 33 of chapter 2, where Sri Krishna asks Arjun to do his prescribed duties as a warrior. 3.9. Yajna pure selfless action. Nirvan through action. Action duty. Eternal relevance. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 9. A duty discharged or an action taken, done with sincerity, correctly and with purity does not leave any binding, adverse effect in this world. Otherwise, it does. O son of Kunti, keeping this in view, perform your duties actions perfectly and without attachment of any kind. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 9 to 13 of chapter 3 may be read together. In this shlok, Sri Krishna uses the word yajna in a special sense. It means a duty discharged or a well-meaning action taken in sincerity. Sri Krishna in this shlok has laid down the highest principle on which a society or a nation or people in general should decide the values, moral or social, of their activities. This is true on social level. This is also true on spiritual level. A society cannot remain a peaceful society if the value, moral or social, of an action does not hold good both for the social and the spiritual domains. Auto-elevation. At this stage, reference is invited to chapter 2 of the sermon, more particularly to shlok numbers 47, 49, 50, 55, 61 and 72 of chapter 2. In shlok number 9 of chapter 3, Sri Krishna has given the reasons as to why a person living, described in the above shlok, may obtain nirvan moksha because his actions cause no adverse effect on him. The above principle laid down by Sri Krishna is unique and the bedrock of any society which has to have a high degree of social discipline and spiritual elevation for its inhabitants and material benefits. It will be useful, at this stage, to refer to shlok number 39 of chapter 2. In that shlok, Sri Krishna teaches that if an action is taken without expectation or intention of a particular fruit result, the action will not have any adverse binding effect on the doer. More particularly, the shloks mentioned herein, e.g. shlok numbers 47, 49, 50, 55, 61 and 72 of chapter 2 are based on those teachings, etc. In the above shlok number 9 of chapter 3, the condition of absence of fruit result is also avoided or is not to be fulfilled. The two routes disciplines indicated respectively under shlok number 39 of chapter 2 and shlok number 9 of chapter 3 may auto-elevate the person to merger with the Brahm. The above teachings etc. will result in dispelling the fears, even though unfounded, of Arjuna of commission of sins, mentioned in shlok numbers 35 to 41 of chapter 1. Obviously, an action which has no adverse effect on the doer and will rather result in his attaining higher spiritual levels and spiritual goals including higher planets and even nirvan moksha, cannot have any adverse effect on the society in general. This fully allays and answers the fears expressed by Arjuna for not fighting. The word yajna above has been interpreted in the same sense as in shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3. 3.10. Ancient most knowledge. Action of Brahm. Yajna described. Teachings, conduct etc. of Brahm. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 10. The Creator, Brahm Ishwar, in the beginning and in antiquity, by his well-meaning and benevolent action created the universe as also created the living beings. The Creator, Brahm Ishwar, blessed and spoke thus, in the same spirit, by your well-meaning action duty, you living beings may multiply, prosper and progress and have rightful wishes achieved. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. In the above shlok, Shri Krishna is laying stress on the importance of taking action and doing work. As an illustration, Shri Krishna refers to the action taken by the creator of this universe and the creator of the living beings on this earth. What is being pointed out is that action duty is unavoidable and has to be done. This shlok uses the word yajna in this sense. It means a duty discharged or well-meaning action taken in sincerity with purity. At this stage, it is relevant to refer inter alia to shlok numbers 4 and 6 of chapter 7, shlok number 3 of chapter 8 and shlok number 6 of chapter 10. All these shloks deal with the same subject matter, broadly speaking. Shlok numbers 4, 6 of chapter 7 and shlok number 6 of chapter 10 contain further details of the growth of the living beings. It will be proper to clarify that the word Prajapati is not the name of anyone but a description of the person who created the universe and the living beings. The said creator, Brahm Ishwar, delivered his above first message to the living beings contained in shlok numbers 10 to 13 and 15 of chapter 3. This interpretation is supported by number 39 of ch 11. Note, in the above shlok, the word Ista has many meanings according to the dictionaries. Some of these are set out below: Ista, wished, desired, liked, cherished, reverenced, respected, etc. A Sanskrit English Dictionary, page number 254 edition, 2008, by Pandit Ishwar Chandra, Parimal Publication, Delhi. The meaning chosen in the above translation is in accordance with the context of the matter. 3.11 Ancient Most Knowledge. Social Basis. Bhishma etc. in the wrong. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 11. Conduct and behavior towards respected one's elders should be well-meaning. Conduct and behavior of the respected one's elders should also be well-meaning. Thus, by mutual good conduct and behavior, both will be benefited and obtain prosperity. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 9 to 13 of chapter 3 may be read together. In the above shlok, Shri Krishna has referred to the words of the Creator, Brahm Ishwar, which he spoke after creating the living beings of the primeval and first generation. The shlok clearly lays stress on action to be done. Obviously, mutual good behavior and conduct is likely to lead to peaceful existence and also lead to prosperity. The good and moral basis is disclosed for society's development. In the above shlok, the words Devan and Deva do not refer to deities or the like because this category of persons had not yet been created or come into existence. This category of persons was to get created after the ordinary living beings exerted themselves and were in a position to complete good or bad actions, karmas. As a consequence of the actions, they may go to heaven etc. or not. The heaven was to be abode of the elevated living beings after death. These were to be called deities, revered ones. One of the purposes of referring to the respected ones elders in society, in the above shlok, was to allay and dispel one of the apprehensions fears of Arjun regarding the respected ones elders like Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya etc. The above shlok underlined the duties of the elders to others and the society. Shri Krishna has sought the support of the Creator, Brahm Ishwar, to indicate that the respected ones elders on the side of the Kauravas were violating the words of the Creator and were acting against the interest of the society. Please inter alia see shlok numbers 42 to 44, 52, 53 of chapter 2, shlok number 24 of chapter 4, shlok number 18 of chapter 5, shlok numbers 29, 30 of chapter 6, shlok number 9 of chapter 7, etc. Please also see comments under number 13 of chapter 3. Note, in the above shlok, the words Deva and Devan have been used interchangeably. Contextual meanings of these two words have been preferred. The word Deva has many meanings given in dictionaries. Some of the meanings given therein are set out below. Deva, heavenly, divine, also said of terrestrial things of high excellence, God, etc., etc., page number 725, edition, 2008, a Sanskrit English dictionary, by Pandit Ishwar Chandra, Delhi. 2. NSO, Deva, a god, title of a revered or respected person, ESP. Of a Brahman, learned one, or of a king, idol, etc., etc. Page number 510, edition, 2007, the Oxford Hindi English Dictionary, by R.S. M.C. Gregor. 3. NSO, Deva, men with divinity, worshipable parents, title used with names of learned person, Brahman, etc., translated into English, page number 512, Sanskrit Hindi Dictionary, by V.S. Apte, Kamal Percussion, Delhi. 4. The English translation of the word Deva as deity has not been accepted in view of the above situation of their non-existence at the relevant time. 3.12. Selfish capitalism. Gandhian trust basis. Benefit others. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 12. The respected ones and the elder ones will be pleased by your actions, including good conduct and behavior, and bestow upon you certain benedictions required or to be used. Elders may have by their efforts created new mechanisms, methods useful to the society. Such bounties, benefits by them should be shared by you with others. Otherwise, if you enjoy these exclusively, the same will be treated as a theft. Comments. The second self, alter ego, Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 9 to 13 of chapter 3 may be read together. The Creator, Brahm Ishwar, has ordained that whatever are the fruits of the labors of the person, the same should be treated as a blessing of elders. Such fruits should be distributed amongst others. Obviously, the above principle is one of the highest bases for any society. It teaches persons to have no attachment to such gains even though the same are as a result of one's labors. Equality basis. The said teaching also shows that the concept of justice lies in sharing the fruits. The principle indicated is that whatever resources are beyond reasonable utilization of a person, the same should be used for the benefit of others. This is the true continuation of the principle laid down in shlok numbers 52 and 53 of chapter 2. Also see inter alia, shlok number 29 of chapter 9. It may be noted that the concept of trusteeship for others and the society, including the Gandhian concept of trusteeship, is based on and emanates from the principle laid down in the above shlok of Bhagwat Gita. The above shlok also indicates that selfish capitalism is disfavored by the Creator, Brahm Ishwar, and Bhagwat Gita. The said shlok, as also Bhagwat Gita, in general have clear socialistic and spiritual, moral inclinations. Marx has accepted this principle as cardinal principle of Marxism. Concept of equality will lose its substance without this principle. 3.13. Inequality. Ancient most knowledge. Rightful earning. Constitution of India. Ishwar against selfish capitalism. Social basis. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 13. What remains out of well-earned fruits by one's own exertions, action, after giving to others, the good people use the remainder. Such people remain free from any sin. But persons who earn work, achieve fructification, for themselves only, are liable for bad acts as a sin. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 9 to 13 of chapter 3 may be read together. In the above shlok, great social principles are enshrined. Each person should carry out an activity personally and sincerely. 2. This activity should be source of his rightful income. 3. A part of the income should be utilized for social good. Sin or not. 4. Whatever remains, after giving for social good, should be utilized by the person for his needs. On the contrary, persons who want to earn only for themselves, are really not carrying out the activity itself sincerely. This kind of attitude will encourage selfishness in the society. 6. The blessings of the Creator, by way of guidance to the living beings, are more particularly applicable to the human beings. The guiding principles have and were intended to have lasting relevance for any society. These principles are as relevant and necessary today as they were when the Creator bestowed His blessings on the living beings. 7. The above blessings of the Creator, Brahm Ishwar, have been followed and reiterated by Sri Krishna as alter ego of the Brahm Ishwar in Shlok numbers 39 to 64 of chapter 2, broadly speaking. 8. It may be noticed that in Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3, all the stress has been laid on right action taken as a mission. The fruits of the labor, even of the individual, are to be shared by him with others and no fruits to be enjoyed without one's labors. Such an action on the part of an individual does not result in any sin. It may also be noticed that there is no mention of any fruitive ceremonies. See Shlok numbers 42 to 46 and 52, 53 of chapter 2. It may also be noticed that the Brahm does not say that only one should chant his name or adore him. He ordains action and action only. 9. Further, Ishwar Brahm holds out no promise to forgive the sinners. Kiss Smiley in Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3. We have been provided with the earliest version and record of the teachings etc. of the Creator by Sri Krishna as alter ego of the Brahm. He is reiterating those early teachings etc. stated in Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of ch. 3. Anyone, on going through the teachings etc. given at the beginning of the creation of the living beings, please inter alia see Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3, Shlok number 1 of chapter 4, and the teachings etc. in the Bhagwat Gita, will find that the said earliest teachings etc. are the core of the Bhagwat Gita. Therefore, both as an expansion of what is stated in Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3, Shlok number 1 of chapter 4 etc. and as a sermon by the alter ego of the Brahm Ishwar, the words, teachings etc. in Bhagavad Gita have to be followed. Of course, the Bhagavad Gita is multidimensional. For convenience, the teachings etc. contained in Shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3 may be enumerated as below. 1. Life should be actionful. 2. Actionful life should be meaningful and in a missionary spirit. 3. Everyone should prosper and may progress. Of course, multiplication should occur in the normal and natural course, only for continuity. 4. Every society should fix its goals, which are considered as proper and righteous for the society and for those constituting the society. 5. Every society will have persons in different age groups. All of them have to be taken care of by each member of the society according to the needs of the age groups. Shlok number 11 of chapter 3 again discloses the stress laid on equality. 6. The predecessors of a society, by their endeavors and efforts and actions, may create permanent or temporary gains, benefits, etc., whether material or otherwise, for the society. 7. The gains, benefits, accretions made by the previous generations should be used and shared by everyone in the society and not exclusively by one only. 8. Everyone in the society should work meaningfully to earn his living. He should exert properly and correctly before he exits. 9. Whatever one has earned by one's wholesome labors, he should give away a part thereof, for the benefit of the society before he uses the earning for himself. 10. An action carried out in the manner of a mission as above will not result in commission of a sin. 11. Those who exert themselves, take action, etc. for their own selfish benefit, they should be considered as exploiters, chief. 12. Exertions, actions, etc. taken for selfish or exclusive benefits are wrongful. This is sinful. The above teachings can be followed in a moralistic, socialistic and egalitarian society only. The teachings also underline avoidance of selfish materialism in the society. Constitution of India in its preamble accepts that these teachings etc. be followed. However, the governments have flagrantly violated the above moralistic teachings as also the Indian Constitution and only enriched the rich, widening the gap between the rich and the poor. Also see Shlok numbers 52, 53 of chapter 2, Shlok number 29 of chapter 9. It is obvious that except the right to vote in elections, there is no equality between the rich and the poor. The said one equality is really a paper equality. 3.14. Ancient most knowledge. Action in nature. From sun to food. Wind movement. Esoteric knowledge. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 14. Living beings exert themselves to obtain food for existence. Rains help food production, clouds exert themselves to shed water on land. Heat helps rains clouds formation from water sources. Heat is caused by the function of its earth sources. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 14 and 15 of chapter 3 may be read together. In the above shlok, phenomenon of nature at work are described. All living beings exert themselves to obtain food for survival. Production of food depends on the exertions of the clouds. Clouds carry water vapors and shed water on land. Clouds are formed by the exertions of the heat on water sources. The heat is produced by the exertions of the sun rays on different water sources and by the heat within the earth. It seems that the purpose of sun is to provide light rather than heat to earth. The shlok clearly indicates to the creation of wind due to heat which blows away the clouds also. Modern science far behind. The more heat, faster will blow the wind whether as storm, hurricane, etc. Heat by exerting itself on water sources causes evaporation of water. Water in the atmosphere, by its action in collecting itself in the shape of clouds and by the activity of the wind, the clouds are carried in different directions. The clouds by their activity shed water on the lands. Soil by biochemical activity makes itself fertile and capable of production. Man by his exertions procures food from the land by cultivating it. Earth produces a large variety of vegetation including forests without any human effort. Land has activity on and under its surface. Thus, the above shlok in brief contains great scientific observations. Man is made to realize that he plays a small part. Major role is of other causes and without them, man can do very little. Also see Shlok number 27 of chapter 3. Note: words yajnat and yajna are being given the meanings heat in view of the context and the subject matter of the shlok. 3.15 Brahm's initial action. Brahm all-knowing. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 15. Action, creation of the universe with its features including the effects, was initiated by, had its source in, controlled by and inheres in the Brahm. No, understand, the features are long-lasting and easily repeated. Similarly, the Brahm has created provided continuous sources of heat. The Brahm is present everywhere, omnipresent. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 14 and 15 of chapter 3 may be read together. The above shlok may be read in conjunction with shlok number 14 of chapter 3. The above shlok summarizes the basis of the previous shlok and connects activity to the creator, Brahm Ishwar. Action of creation of universe with its features including nature was initiated by the Brahm. The shlok refers to this initial action of the Brahm, creator Ishwar. Its true knowledge and amplitude including the chain of cause and effect are in the knowledge of Brahm, Ishwar creator. Sun's heat versus Earth's heat. Earth was not part of any sun star. Process of providing heat is continuous and functions smoothly day after day. This is part of nature. It may be clarified that nature may also ultimately be controlled by the Brahm. The above shlok presupposes that the Brahm has created the universe including nature and the living beings as stated in shlok number 14 of chapter 3. The shlok underlines that the Brahm himself has acted and is continuously acting in the discharge of the duties. He has taken on the duties of his own. Similarly, other features including those which are part of nature are also carrying on their activities. For Brahm's regular activities, see inter alia shlok numbers 22 to 24 of chapter 3 etc. For Brahm's actions please see shlok numbers 10 to 13 of chapter 3. In shlok number 14 of chapter 3, the expression yajna karma samudbhava, translated into English as heat is caused by functions of its, Earth's, sources, are most revealing. What is indicated is that the heat within the Earth is being continuously created by its own contents through chemical, physical etc. actions and reactions. Bodies of all living beings generate heat within the body by chemical and or physical actions reactions. The preceding shlok numbers 14 and 15 of chapter 3 show clearly the processes of action and reaction. The actions and reactions may happen as a chain of events or as a single event. These two shloks show that in nature, functions are being performed according to the purpose of existence of the performer. This is further supported by shlok number 15 of chapter 3. The words Brahm Nityam Yajne Pratishthitam, which have been translated into English as the Brahm Ishwar has created provided continuous sources of heat. This clearly is a contraindication to the theory that the earth was a part of the sun and the cooling off has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. It is a matter of common knowledge that the cities at a higher altitude are cooler than the cities at the lower altitude in spite of being nearer to the sun than the cities at the lower altitude. Also, when an aeroplane is flying at a higher altitude, passengers are provided blankets etc. to neutralize the extra cold in the aeroplane. This is in spite of the fact that the aeroplane is nearer to the sun than is the earth. It is correct that the sun does cause heating effect on the earth. It is mostly the light that is provided by the sun and is hardly from any other source. The atoms carrying the light from the sun ultimately enrich the soil. Therefore, what the above shlok numbers 14 and 15 of chapter 3 clearly show is that the earth was created by the Brahm Ishwar when it created the universe and the nature with its features. Sources of heat were also provided within the earth, and which sources continue to exist till date and are likely to continue in future. Note 1. The word Aksara has been given the meaning long-lasting as except the Brahm Ishwar, nothing else is indestructible or eternal. 2. The expression Samudbhavam indicates a state condition of easy repetitive performance, in this case, the sources providing the heat rains etc. year after year. 3. The word Sarvaktam has been given the meaning present everywhere, omnipresent, which necessarily implies full knowledge of the Brahm of all causes and effects. 3.16 Duty. Ancient most knowledge. Action effect. Inaction when sinful. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 16. Thus, in this world, the chain of cause and effect has to be carried on and completed by everyone in accordance with the hallowed practiced principles. Anyone who fails to take it forward will be wrongful and termed as man of senses, living a useless life. O Parth, such a life will be a sinful one. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 16 to 19 of chapter 3 may be read together. In the above shlok, Sri Krishna lays down and restates the well-established principle of action and its reaction or effect. Failure to discharge this duty has been treated as sinful. Bereft of this social and moral obligation, the life will be selfish and only for sense enjoyment. Such a life will not only be worthless, but also be against morality. The obvious purpose of Sri Krishna was to exhort Arjuna not to give up activity ordained for him. Reference may also be made to shlok numbers 39, 47, 48 and 72 of chapter 2. Also see shlok number 27 of chapter 3. 3.17 Ishwar speaks. Verse number 17. But a person who is self-realized and remains self-content within and certainly whose soul is blissful and satisfied, even he has to do some activity. Understand this. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 16 to 19 of chapter 3 may be read together. Clear guidance to understand this shlok is provided by shlok number 16 of chapter 3. What this shlok indicates is that a person having reached very high spiritual level need not compulsorily do action for further spiritual level, and his normal activity will have no adverse effect on him. Such a person has already overcome bodily weaknesses and effects of the three attributes caused due to nature, sattva, rajas and tamas. When an action can be sinful. One such example is set out in Shlok number 33 of chapter 2. Failure to discharge one's duties has been called as sinful. Action relating to material existence is unavoidable. Also see Shlok number 72 of chapter 2. The obvious purpose of Sri Krishna was to tell Arjun that he does not fall in the class which is not required to do any special activity. Everyone has yet to do daily chores and routine duties towards himself, family, society, etc. The above shlok presupposes that the circumstances of such a person do not change considerably. If such a person sees a lady being molested and yet does not help her, he will be committing a sin by his inactivity. His spiritual level will be lowered automatically. Shlok numbers 16 to 19 of chapter 3 should be read together to correctly understand the narrow compass in which Shlok numbers 17, 18 of chapter 3 will apply. Shlok number 17 of chapter 3 is hedged in by four preconditions. He should be 1. A blissful soul, 2. Self-realized, 3. Self-content within and 4. Satisfied. For such a person no work is prescribed or ordained. The conditions aforesaid cannot be fulfilled if he is specifically seeking deliverance from the earth, heaven or moksha. The deliverance must come without aiming at it. This is only by performance of work duties. The stage of fulfilling the conditions of Shlok number 17 of chapter 3 have to be fulfilled by following the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Sri Krishna. Reference is invited to Shlok numbers 32, 47 to 49, 54 to 56 of chapter 2 etc. Further, the stage described in Shlok number 17 of chapter 3 can only be reached after performance of work only. Such a person has become while living a part of the Brahm. Also see commentary under Shlok number 72 of chapter 2. The adverse effects, i.e. the sins, have to be exhausted by undergoing required retributive compensatory measures by the person. The soul is cleansed of blemishes. The soul may or may not have any good effects to enjoy pass through. This is the stage of the soul being in tandem with the Brahm. Such a person need not compulsorily undertake any particular activity. Please also see inter alia comments under Shlok number 72 of chapter 2 for details. Some work he has to do. He may have no prescribed duties. If Ishwar has to do work, no one else can be exempted. 3.18 Ishwar speaks. Verse number 18. Such a person may have no purpose necessarily to do something. He may have neither to gain anything by action nor anything to lose by inaction. Such a person may not have to depend on any living being for any purpose in a situation. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 17, 18 and 19 of chapter 3 form a part. The object of referring to a person who need not do any activity is really to show to Arjun that he does not fall in that special and rare category of persons. Please see inter alia, Shlok numbers 4 and 5 of chapter 3 etc. Therefore, Arjun must resort to activity and discharge his duty. As stated in Shlok number 17 of chapter 3, Sri Krishna is referring to an action for further elevating spiritual level. 3.19 Duty. Fight non-fruitive. Stoic person. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 19. Therefore, you should carry out your traditional, continued activity and professional duty like a stoic person. Do your functions without attachment. Certainly, discharging your duties, you will become eligible to the sublimated position. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Sri Krishna once again answers the question asked by Arjun in Shlok number 1 of chapter 3. Sri Krishna's answer is clear and unequivocal. Arjun was required to do his duty without attachment and like a stoic person. But fruitive action was not accepted by Sri Krishna as a motive for taking action. 3.20 King Janak. Ancient most knowledge. Example to follow. Fight. Eternal relevance. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 20. Persons like King Janak etc. certainly attained sublimated spiritual and higher levels by discharging their worldly duties. Mass of people look up to your conduct to follow, as a leader and an ideal person. Therefore also, you are under obligation to fight, act. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 20 and 21 of chapter 3 may be read together. Sri Krishna shows yet another reason for taking up the fight. Here, Sri Krishna is referring to the common feature in society, when common men emulate the example of certain eminent persons of the society. If at that stage of war Arjun shies away from taking up the arms, the common soldiery and the inferior warriors and commanders will not be able to fight. The above guidance given by Sri Krishna is of eternal relevance. It is as true today as was at any time in the past. The idiom saying the public apes follows the king is based on the above teachings of Sri Krishna. 3.21 Public posts. Test of public good. Example to follow. Eternal relevance. Constitution of India. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 21. The mass of people has a tendency in this world certainly to look up to its leaders and eminent persons to shape their conduct and behavior as an example to follow, according to whatever the leaders do. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 20 and 21 of chapter 3 may be read together. The above guiding principle is of eternal relevance for any society. Those in control of the affairs of a society state have to be clean and transparent in their activities and conduct. Those responsible for public duties have not only to be honest and fair and just, but they should appear to be so also. This also holds good at the level of groups of men, women and families. The Constitution of India, following the above principle, has chosen the concept of public functionary and public duties for the highest post in the executive, constitutional offices, as also for the legislatures and the judiciary. Any process of cleansing the administration, public life, private life, has to begin from the top. 3.22 Ancient most knowledge. Own example of Brahm as doer. All-powerful, all humility. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 22. I, Brahm, remain busy in carrying out one duty, activity, or another. O Parth, I, Brahm, carry on the duties, activities despite the fact that in the three worlds, there is no reason why I, Brahm, should carry on any activity duty. Similarly, there is nothing, no object in the three worlds which should be available but is unavailable to me, Brahm. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 22, 23 and 24 of chapter 3 may be read together. The above shlok is the clearest indication of what the living beings should do in their lives. All importance is given to the discharge of the duties befalling at one or different stages in life. This is complete antithesis of escapism from life's obligations. Even mere chanting of a name or a mere worship, praises, or performance of ceremonies is negated by shlok numbers 23 and 24 of chapter 3 etc. The attainment of the higher planets like heaven and the moksha nirvan should follow as an auto-elevation because of the discharge of one's duties etc. to the society, state, family etc. Also see shlok number 15 of chapter 3 on Brahm's activity. Please see inter alia, shlok numbers 42, 50, 51, 72 of chapter 2 etc. 3.23. Own example of Brahm as doer. All-powerful, all-humility. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 23. If I, Brahm, do not ever regularly perform my duties or carry on my activities, O Parth, people will also certainly follow my conduct and behavior fully always. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 22 to 24 of chapter 3 may be read together. The above shlok is self-explanatory and is to be read with shlok number 24 of chapter 3. The above shlok shows the unparalleled humility and compassion of the Brahm. Also see shlok number 15 of chapter 3 on own activity of Brahm. 3.24. No general destruction. All-powerful, all-humility. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 24. If I, Brahm, fail to perform my functions that refer to the universe, it will come to ruins. I, Brahm, will be held responsible for the disorder and devastation of all living beings. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 22 to 24 of chapter 3 may be read together. Also see shlok number 15 of chapter 3 on own activity of Brahm. The above shlok has contraindication to the alleged general destruction of the earth universe living beings. 3.25. Test of public good. Non-fruitive. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 25. The ignorant persons do certain activities with attachment, O Bharat. The same activities will be carried out by the wise man, without attachment and for the guidance of the mass of people and for their welfare. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. In shlok numbers 20 to 25 of chapter 3, Shri Krishna lays stress on the responsibility of the eminent persons in society to carry out their activities and to conduct themselves in a manner which is exemplary. They should act for the welfare of the mass of people. Their example is likely to be followed by others. Shri Krishna has repeatedly spoken against fruitive action. Please see inter alia, shlok numbers 38, 47, 49, 50 and 53 of chapter 2. 3.26. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 26. Doubt or hesitation arise in the impacted consciousness of the unwise persons on account of attachment to activity. The wise persons not only perform their activities correctly but also guide others properly and kindly to do, follow, above example, and carry out their activities correctly. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. 3.27 Ancient most knowledge. Cause of trio effects, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Soul eclipsed. Fight. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 27. Nature causes performance of functions causing the three attributes which affect all activities of soul. Thus, the vain and attached egoistic soul understands himself as the doer. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. It is to be noticed that in Shlok number 45 of chapter 2, Shlok number 27 of chapter 3, a reference has been made to the three effects caused due to nature. There Sri Krishna asks Arjun to rise above the said three effects attributes caused due to nature. In this Shlok, the manner in which nature acts on a person is stated. In the above Shlok, Sri Krishna lays bare the most vital but least noticed fact and cause as to how the three attributes caused due to nature, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, actually arise take birth. The nature has innumerable features and objects which include planets, air, sun, earth, heat in earth, causes of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, rains, fire etc. Their activities cause the instinct of fear to on life. For details see Shlok number 37 of chapter 3, and other connected instincts forming the basis of the three attributes effects, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. The instincts, the behavior patterns of the living beings, cause the soul to have the impressions imprinted on itself. These instincts' behavior patterns partly control the actions of the soul by eclipsing the soul, which of course is the master of the body. See Shlok number 30 of chapter 2. Soul remains the master and instincts' behavior patterns have their impact through the soul only. The soul, being a fragment of the Brahm, has its innate, inherent and eternal qualities and therefore is ever trying to overcome the eclipse which may be partially and temporarily eclipsing the soul. The eclipsed soul tends to show the ill effects of the eclipse by making the soul to feel egoistic and as doer of activities. On careful analysis, the Shlok with reference to the previous Shlok, more particularly Shlok numbers 14 to 26 of chapter 2, it will be clear that the soul is taking on a greater responsibility than soul ought to do, both for credit and for discredit. It will be noticed that the effects of the trio may be like floating clouds, temporarily covering the sun. However, the trio may affect the soul for a very long period of time, which may cover one lifetime or more. The soul of which mention has been made in Shlok numbers 72 of chapter 2 etc., is completely freed from the effects of the trio even while carrying on the duties. Such souls, when they give up the material body, achieve the Brahm, merge with the Brahm. The fragment of the Brahm merges with the Brahm. The result is that the fragment becomes the Brahm with all his glory, power and uniqueness. Please see Shlok number 28 of chapter 8. Please also see inter alia, Shlok number 7 of chapter 15 for effects of nature on soul and concept of impacted consciousness etc. 3.28 Admonth opinion. Three attributes. And human activity. Fight. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 28. But the person who knows the reality of division between the effects caused due to nature and the activity, O mighty armed one, and as to how the trio three attributes, effects and traits are caused or work out, interact, and the resultant activity, will not have admonth and attached opinion views. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. The shlok indicates the effects of nature through the three attributes trio on activities of living beings and one not holding adamant views. Many reasons are set out by Sri Krishna and had repeatedly said that a person should not have any attachments while he is leading his life and carrying on the worldly activities. For example, reference be made to shlok numbers 47, 48 to 55 of chapter 2. Also see further details under shlok number 36 and 37 of chapter 3. The shlok indicates the complexity of human behavior and activities as the same are influenced by the effects caused by the three attributes. These in turn have been caused by or arisen from the function of different objects in nature like heat, hurricanes, earthquakes, etc. These effects are exhibited in living beings as traits or as innate traits or as instincts. Thus, a soul may be eclipsed by weaknesses caused by the trio and for which the soul had not contributed to. One's opinions and views may be compelled as a result of the effects of the trio. Therefore, a person should not be attached to his opinion or hold on to one's views adamantly. The above shlok contains a very fine psychoanalysis of the activities in nature and their effects on the living beings. These affect the moral aspects in life as well as the social as also legal aspects of life. Extent of goodness or badness, morality and immorality, legality and illegality, etc. have to be decided upon and considered in view of the all-important knowledge given in the above shlok. 3.29 Effect of the trio. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 29. All three attributes trio caused due to nature affect the dim-witted and persons with half-baked knowledge to carry out the activities and to cling on be attached to them. However, the wise persons are not agitated distracted by the effects of the trio. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. 3.30 Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Fight. Follow teachings etc. Auto-elevation. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 30. He, Arjun, should do his all actions unto the Brahm, following his teachings etc., with a spiritually awakened consciousness and without any expectations, longings, without attachment or disappointment and without any remorse. In this elevated frame of consciousness, he, Arjun, should take up arms and fight. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. In the above shlok, yet another reason for Arjun to fight is being put forward. Really speaking, Sri Krishna is exhorting Arjun to fight for the highest moral and spiritual cause. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Sri Krishna owns up and symbolizes that highest cause. This also indicates that Arjun should have confidence and trust in what Sri Krishna has been teaching. Reference is made to shlok number 61 of chapter 2, where Sri Krishna tells Arjun to follow the Brahm's teachings etc. only and do his duties. In the present shlok number 30 of chapter 3, Sri Krishna again asks Arjun to join the battle, attributing Arjun's action to the Brahm. In this situation, Arjun's actions and result thereof will be for moralistic principle and for the good of the society. No part of any sin will attach to Arjun. It may be noticed that Sri Krishna repeatedly asks Arjun to take up the arms and to fight. Attention is invited to shlok numbers 18, 37, 38, 61, 65 of chapter 2. Thus, Shri Krishna is available to each and every one irrespective of caste, creed, to the poorest of the poor, to the rich, to any professional, to any worker, etc. The person has only to follow the simple teachings and principles of the Brahm's teachings, etc. as reiterated by Shri Krishna. The teachings, words, etc. lay down guidance for those who want a happy and satisfied life on this earth, or who want to seek the heaven's higher planets, or who want to seek moksha or nirvana. Note: all the above conditions, levels of life or deliverance, will be reached through action and without any desire for them. The said levels are reached by auto-elevation. 3.31. From duty to divinity. Less known esoteric knowledge. Teachings, etc. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 31. The labors, exertions of human beings cease only if they always continue to carry them out, their activities and duties, according to the Brahm's teachings, etc., and practices them without any doubts and in full faith, till the end, when they attain moksha nirvana. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 30 to 32 of chapter 3 may be read together. In the above shlok, Shri Krishna clearly declares that unless and until human beings attain moksha nirvana, they have to continue to carry on activities, birth after birth. This also clearly means that abode in heaven or higher planets will not end the activity and the cycle of birth and rebirth. Shlok numbers 30, 31 and 32 of chapter 3 also clearly declare that only those living beings who faithfully believe in the teachings, views, conduct, etc., including non-fruitive action, and practice them in life and discharge their duties, can only have cessation of their labors, exertions, because they will attain moksha nirvana without aiming at it. Reference is also invited inter alia to shlok numbers 31, 32, 50 to 56, 61, 64 to 66, 71 and 72 of chapter 2, 9 to 13, 22 to 24 of chapter 3 for the purpose of further elaboration on aspects of following the teachings, etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna. Labors of humans end on attaining of the moksha nirvana. Note: for the meaning of the word mimatam above, kindly see common note no.1. 3.32. Teachings, etc. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 32. Those who do not faithfully follow and practice the teachings, etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna and entertain any doubts thereabout, are devoid of full knowledge and are ignorant persons and understand them to be irrational. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. 3.33. Repression of senses. 3 attributes. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 33. Even the knowledgeable person tends to act and behave in accordance with his/her nature. Forcible repression of one's senses is of no avail. This is in view of the effects of the 3 attributes caused due to nature on the person. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. 3.34. Senses. Extempore speech. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 34. The subject matter of each sense of a person creates attachment and jealousy. These have to be regulated. If not controlled, these will become the stumbling blocks. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. This shlok is very important as it discloses the functioning of the senses. For the link between the effects of factors outside the material body and the senses and the consciousness of the soul, inter alia see shlok numbers 7 and 8 of chapter 15 etc. Note: Shlok number 33 of chapter 3 deals with doing of an activity as a duty. The reader is told about the senses in shlok number 34 of chapter 3. Once again, shlok number 35 of chapter 3 deals with the doing of work and duties. 3.35 Own duties. Eternal relevance. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 35. It is better if a person discharges the duties natural to his avocation or occupation. He should not take up and discharge the duties under a different avocation or occupation. Even if death comes while discharging the duties of one's avocation or occupation, it will be better for that person as another avocation or occupation will be risky. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shri Krishna, in order to encourage Arjun to fight, has put forward many reasons and their different facets. For example, shlok numbers 13, 19, 37 to 39, 48 to 51, 72 of chapter 2, numbers 30 to 32 of chapter 3. In the foregoing shlok, Shri Krishna puts forward yet another reason for Arjun to fight. In shlok number 38 of chapter 2, Shri Krishna has clearly told Arjun that being a soldier by occupation or avocation, he should discharge the duties of a soldier and fight. It may be recalled that in shlok number 11 of chapter 2, Shri Krishna has sarcastically called Arjun's words of lamentation as intelligent talk, Prajnavadan, and also called Arjun as a pseudo-expert, Pandit. Obviously, after so much of enlightenment shown up by all the previous shloks, Shri Krishna was compelled to tell Arjun that he cannot properly do the avocation or occupation of a learned person, Pandit. The maxim is that little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Yet, another eternal principle has been disclosed in the above shlok to the effect that one should confine to own avocation occupation. The English idiom, Jack of all trades and master of none, is coined from the above principle. 3.36 Instincts. Arjun questions. Compulsive action. Science and psychology. Arjun speaks. Verse number 36. Arjun inquires from Shri Krishna as to the compelling force or cause on the person tending to commit this wrong, disowning one's duties, even though not unwilling to do so. Comments. In the previous shloks inter alia shlok numbers 45, 59, 60, 62, 63 of chapter 2, numbers 27 to 34 of chapter 3, reference has been made to the three attributes caused due to nature, affecting a person. In the present shlok, Arjun desires to know the details of the process by which the person is affected by them. In the above shlok, Arjun wants to know from Shri Krishna as to why and how a living being or human being involuntarily and as if from within, some force was causing the effect to act externally in a certain fashion or manner. It appears that what is being hinted at are the instincts which a living human being is born with or even sometimes acquires after the birth. These instincts form part of and affect his character, nature and sight. Also see shlok numbers 37 to 41 of chapter 3. 3.37 Esoteric less known knowledge. Three attributes caused due to nature explained. Creation of instincts. Soul genes. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 37. Shri Krishna speaks as Brahm. The longing, obsession and anger arise from the attribute of fruitive keenness, rajas. This attribute of fruitive keenness, rajas, can be all-devouring and very dangerous. In this world, know these to be the enemies. Comments. The second self alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. Comments under each shlok be also read as common to all. Shri Krishna's answers to Arjun's enquiry made in shlok number 36 of chapter 3 are set out in shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3. Science genes are affected through the soul. It is necessary and also relevant to point out that shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 are directly connected to numbers 45, 62, 63 of chapter 2, 27 to 30 of chapter 3, etc. The manner in which the soul is affected is set out in numbers 34, 37 to 43 of chapter 3 and numbers 7 and 8 of chapter 15, etc. It is through the soul only that the genes of a living being are affected. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 are the further elaboration and deal with the three attributes caused due to nature and dealt with by shlok numbers 45, 62, 63 of chapter 2, 27 to 30 of chapter 3. The three attributes caused due to nature may be the effects of different generations and the circumstances that the foreparents may have undergone. It may be proper to say that the forces and circumstances and events occurring in nature like rain, volcanic actions, earthquakes, excessive heat and extreme cold, tsunami etc., since the days of antiquity, have had the effects of creating or causing certain reactions, sudden or over a period of time, on all life including human beings. The above reactions and responses by the living beings to the events such as mentioned above may be responsible for causing innate or natural behavior which is passed on through the genes as instincts. Such instincts like longing, obsession to exemplify, are whether to live, to amass, to feed, to propagate, multiply, to avoid a certain bad result, to satisfy the senses, to empower oneself, feelings of attachment, affection etc. Other reactions like greed, anger etc. are aspects of and connected to or caused by the reaction referred to as fear, which is an umbrella word. However, it may be clarified that fear to life is the source, directly or indirectly, of all types of longings, reactions, instincts etc. The three attributes caused due to nature, namely fruitive goodness, sattva, fruitive keenness, rajas, and fruitive ignorance, tamas, are descriptive of the degree and quality of the existence of the innate or natural behavior or qualities like desire, attachment and anger etc. referred to above and caused by the events or circumstances in nature through the effect-reaction of fear. In addition to the effects of the instincts, the actions, karmas, of a living being over one or more lives will also affect any subsequent life of the living entity, soul. The three attributes caused due to nature show their effects through the genes and the effects on the actions, karmas. Whatever may have been the cause of the actions, karmas, whether by instincts or by the conscious actions, karmas, by the soul in the past, the same are exhibited by a person in the subsequent lives through the medium of the soul having been influenced by instincts, karmic effects of conscious action, karma. That is why Shri Krishna has been asking Arjun to rise above the three attributes caused due to nature, Shlok number 45 of chapter 2. Let the fully enlightened soul make the decisions. He who knows the reality of relationship between an effect of nature and the activity of the person, and as to how the three attributes caused due to nature and the resultant activity, will not have attachment to the activity or the result. The commentary given under Shlok number 28 of chapter 3 may also be read as part of the commentary under this Shlok. As a fragment of the Brahm Ishwar, the soul of a living being is not tainted by one or more and to higher or smaller degree by the three attributes caused due to nature originally. The soul may or may not be tainted even when it is, say, floating around or when lying around in a heap of matter. The matter by itself is not tainted by the three attributes caused due to nature. The nature can only change the form of matter, say, from solid to gaseous, to liquid, etc. It is only when the soul takes on a material body that the stage for the soul to get karmic taints reaches. But it is not because the soul is in a material body which is matter only. The recording of the effects caused due to nature starts on the soul if events like storm, earthquake, etc. occurred and the souls are within the sphere of the impact. Independently of the above, when a living being takes an action or fails to take an action when he ought to take action, etc., the recording of the karmic effects on the soul commences. The above conclusion may be drawn from Shlok numbers 27 to 30 of chapter 3, 37 of chapter 3, etc. Bereft of the trio, the soul is bound to act in the rightful way. Therefore, Shri Krishna asks Arjun to rise above the trio in Shlok number 45 of chapter 2. Because the general basis of the trio is self-interest if not selfish interest. The effects caused due to nature have been broadly put under three categories without there being clear-cut division. For example, after creation of the living beings, say. Example A. A tigress with her cubs chooses an area to live in a forest. She marks her territory to warn away others or of her kind. She controls that territory. She looks after and loves the cubs and feeds them. The cubs are milk-fed still. After some time, a tiger strays into the above-mentioned territory. The tigress feels a threat to the cubs. She tries to warn away the tiger and even tries to fight for safety of the cubs which the tiger wants to kill. Soon she realizes that the tiger will kill her if she defeat him. In this situation, she gives in. The tiger kills the cubs. She produces progeny from the said tiger. The above facts show a number of instincts from the behavior pattern of the tigress and the tiger. The inclination to kill the cubs and even the tigress indicates the attributes of fruitive ignorance, tamas. The desire to dominate the territory by the tigress and the dominance of the tiger on the tigress indicate the attribute of fruitive keenness, rajas. The effort of the tigress to feed, to bring up and to protect the cubs indicate her goodness towards the cubs. Such conduct may be under the attribute of fruitive goodness, sattva. But all these attributes arise out of self-interest and even selfish interest. Example B. Take the case of a group of humans living on the land near sea. They use the sea water. The waters are cool and placid except for the normal tide and ebb. Cool breeze blows on the area. One day, waters of the sea started rising. Strong winds blow. The waves of the water become longer and higher in their movement towards the land as if everything will be engulfed. The human beings on the land suddenly begin to feel threatened by the advancing waters. The thought of being swept away arouses fear of death. They run for their lives. They run and run to safety. The beginning of fear by the soul, consciousness of the soul, because of the longing, desire to live, has been made in those humans. The souls of the aforesaid humans suddenly have become unhappy at the behavior of an otherwise placid sea, as also by the cool breeze turning into a storm. The beginning of the feeling of anger has also been made. These resultant characteristics of fear, desire, happiness, unhappiness, anger, etc. will affect the soul like an eclipse to a degree. From a multitude of causes, there will arise smaller fears because of desires. Also, some desires' longings may not be connected to the feeling of fear apparently only. Through the medium of soul, the genes are impacted. Please inter alia refer to Shlok numbers 45, 62, 63 of chapter 2, 27 to 30 of chapter 3, 34 of chapter 3, 4 and 5 of chapter 7, 7 of chapter 15, etc. For convenience, English translations of Sh, number 7 and 8 of Ch.15 are set out below. Sh, number 7 of Ch.15, the individual eternal soul is a fragment of the Brahm's omni-soul in the living beings in the places, spaces where the living beings exist. Sense objects, words, certain effects, impressions, etc. existing externally to the material body or in nature are attracted through the senses or impacted senses, mana, to cause impressions, effects on the soul for living the life of that material body. Sh, number 8 of Ch.15, the soul, as part of Brahm Ishwar, when it departs from the material body, the soul carries these, the effects, impressions, see below, and takes them along with itself to release them, just as the air wind lifts and carries the fragrances, smells from their place object of origin. When the soul takes on a material body, it attracts these, the effects, impressions, see below. 3.38 Soul eclipsed. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 38. Just as the smoke covers and hides the fire, mirror is covered by dust and the embryo is hidden by the womb, similarly, this soul is eclipsed by the effects of the three attributes. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. For comments see Shlok number 37 of chapter 3. It is the soul which may be covered by thin or thick layers, impressions, effects caused by the three attributes created due to nature, resulting in impacted consciousness, mana, Sish. Number 7 of Ch.15. 3.39. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 39. O son of Kunti, even the knowledge of the knowledgeable persons is covered by the weakness of longing, obsession, desire, which is the sworn enemy of the living entity soul, and is never satisfied, like the fire. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. For comments, please see Shlok number 37 of chapter 3. 3.40. Scientific revelation. Self-realization. Consciousness is quality only of the soul. Impacted consciousness. Self-control. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 40. The senses, impacted consciousness, mana, and intellect are said to be the rearing, not breeding, centers for the instinct of longing, desire. This clouds the knowledge and beguiles the consciousness of the soul. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. What we are being told is that every soul is to be awake, to be alert, to be knowledgeable, to be analytical and rational, to arrive at a correct decision and to take correct action. Of course, soul is the master of material body, but subject to being beguiled. The soul must actually be the master of the material body and not merely in theory. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. The soul has to realize its potential. The soul has to know that as fragment of the Omni-Soul, it was pure. The blemishes, the black spots etc. which eclipse the soul on account of karmic effects or on account of the senses etc. can be washed away. This is self-realization. Shri Krishna further tells that every soul by proper training and following the teachings etc. set out in the sermon of Bhagwat Gita, particularly the eternal triad, Avyayam Yogam, as stated in Shlok number 1 of chapter 4, chapter 2 and 3 of the sermon, the soul has to develop the ability to quickly or even instantaneously judge correctly and reject what is wrong or incorrect and separating the grain from the chaff. The soul should not permit the external objects to impact the senses adversely and reject them. Thus, self-control is a part of self-realization. For meaning of expression impacted consciousness, please inter alia refer to Shlok number 7 of chapter 15 etc. The relevant part of the comments relating to impacted consciousness, comments under number 7 of ch.15, is given below. The consciousness of the soul is therefore pure in part and impure in part. The pure part of the consciousness is ever trying to overcome the impure part. The senses and impacted senses, mana, communicate the impressions on them to the consciousness of the soul. For the sake of clarity of understanding, the bad, the wrong, the adverse impressions, messages etc. on the consciousness of the soul are referred to in these comments as impacted consciousness of the soul. 3.41 Ishwar speaks. Verse number 41. Therefore, he should first control the senses. The vicious longing obsession, if not subjugated, will swallow knowledge and the ability to judge correctly, O Arjun. Comments. The second self-alter ego Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. For comments please see Shlok number 37 of chapter 3. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. For eternal triad please see Shlok number 1 of chapter 4. 3.42 Soul superior most master. Matter to soul. Ancient most knowledge. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 42. The senses are superior to the dull matter. Impacted consciousness, mana, is higher than the senses. The intellect, as part of the consciousness of the soul, is higher than the impacted consciousness, manas. The soul living entity is higher than the intellect. Comments. Shri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 37 to 43 of chapter 3 may be read together. Shri Krishna has detailed the great scientific revelation of the manner in which the sense objects through the senses, impacted consciousness and intellect affect the soul. Refer to Shlok number 30 of chapter 2 and Shlok numbers 27, 38 to 41 of chapter 3. There, it is laid down that the living entity I, the soul, is the superior most in the body. It may be kept in view that consciousness is the quality only of the soul. The consciousness may be impacted through senses or karmic effects, instincts, and when these adversely affect the consciousness of the soul, the same is described as impacted consciousness, mana mansa manasa chitta, in these comments. It is through the above said impact on a part of the consciousness of the soul that certain activities etc. are carried on by the soul. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Further, it may be clarified that the superiority mentioned in the shlok refers only to the degree of sensitivity of the particular faculty. The impacted senses are more sensitive than dull matter, as indicated by shlok number 7 of chapter 15. The senses are more sensitive than impacted senses. Impacted consciousness of the soul is more sensitive than senses. Intellect as part of the consciousness of the soul is more sensitive than impacted consciousness of the soul. The consciousness of the soul is more sensitive than every other faculty. For further discussion, please see shlok number 7 of chapter 15. 3.43 Master Soul. Genes. Ancient most knowledge. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 43. Thus, know the soul living entity to be superior to own intellect. The soul has to conquer the formidable enemy of longing, desire, O mighty armed one. Comments. The second self alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. The question put by Arjun to Sri Krishna in shlok number 36 of chapter 3 was answered by Sri Krishna by reference to the three attributes caused due to nature, the origin and cause and manner in which the soul is affected through the senses, impacted consciousness, mana, and the intellect. The soul must rid itself of all foreign impressions and be able to decide for itself about the goal to be achieved through the process of applied intellect, buddhi yoga, including rationality, sankhya. Also inter alia see shlok number 39 of chapter 2. In Sri Krishna's view, the most important factor is the correct knowledge with the help of which the soul is able to react correctly, overcoming innate imprints called instincts. The soul, with the help of correct knowledge, is able to consider, weigh and deliberate upon and then arrive at the correct conclusion. In Bhagwat Gita, a sharp distinction has been made between the soul living entity and the three attributes caused due to nature.